All right, when it hits 7 and you're ready, President Peters, we can go ahead and start.
All right, thank you, Ben.
So how's everyone feeling?
Okay, Ben, we ready to roll?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yes, we are.
Okay, and we're streaming, we're ready to go?
We are streaming. We're ready to go.
All right, thank you
Start the
everybody
recording.
for joining us. This is the special committee of the whole meeting, Monday, March 30th, 2027 p.m. And for the record, this meeting is via teleconference. At this time, I'd like Clerk Young to call the roll. Ben?
Member Revolt.
Present.
Member Stretta.
Listening and here.
Member Foltz.
Present.
Member Fonte.
Here.
Member Peters.
Here?
Member Stroya.
Here.
And Member Warren.
Here.
7 present.
Okay, outstanding. Welcome, everybody. Just a few quick reminders. As we go through the committee meeting, I'm going to turn it over to each chairman. I'll let the chair take it from there. Some of you have the ability to flag on your computer screen to ask a question. Some of us do not. So let's be cognizant of speaking over each other and try to do it one at a time. So at this time, we'll start with community economic development. Chairman Revolt.
Thank you very much. You may recall that prior to the new year, we discussed waiving some of the requirements for the reinstallation of cement driveways, etc. We did not take action. This proposed legislation picks up on that, and I think we've discussed it. If there are any questions, we'd be happy to entertain them. Otherwise, I'd like to ask Council to authorize at least a first reading next Monday night.
Daryl, this is Mark Stretta. May I speak?
You may.
Okay. The whole idea of this that's coming back is we discussed this so much we probably thought it was passed. We have gone through this thing so many times, and I want to make sure though that we're talking about the same thing, because so when I look at this on here, some of the things we talked about may not be in there. I believe when I look at this, it looks like it only is, you don't need a permit if you're just doing something that was existing. And that's not what we talked about. We talked about if it's not in the right of way, you don't need a permit. Our contractors have to be certified. They know what they're doing. If somebody's out of line, they're going to have to pay to take it out of there. So I want to make sure that we understand, because in this, what we're looking at, maybe we need to amend it. It only says if it's something that you're being replaced. If I want to put a new patio in, I shouldn't have to go get a permit to do that. I get the right contractor. We don't have to go through the extra cost of that. And that contractor should be certified and do the things right. And we don't have to put that extra burden on the community folks. I think we discussed that, and that's what we were talking about, but I don't think it's in this particular legislation.
All right.
Daryl, you're cutting out.
Remember, you have perhaps the version, and it's we're amending 1173 02 and
Daryl, you're
adding
cutting out.
section A. And I'll go ahead and read what's being added there. The version and show that it's so this is the
One
single
person
family
at a time.
dwelling and uses accessories thereto. And it says, provided the structures, and this is a colon, and it says, are not located in the public right of way, have not exceeded the applicable maximum coverage area. So that, I think that was the point that, maybe wasn't in there before. And so long as they're not exceeding the maximum area that they're permitted to have, they're permitted to do that. And the work is completed by a concrete contractor registered with the city of North Canton.
Okay, Tim, that makes sense then.
Okay,
Mark, would you please
so
look at the second whereas in the proposed ordinance? It does cover those very concerns that you referenced. Replacing patios located in rear yards, single-family dwellings, private sidewalks, etc.
Okay, I was looking at the old one. I'm satisfied with that. Thank you, Tim, and thank you, Daryl.
welcome.
Hey, Daryl, this is Peter.
Yes.
May I comment?
Please.
To Mark's point, I think what him and I had discussed this earlier last week. It means patios, sidewalks, but this also includes any driveway extension, correct?
Anything
Correct.
that's,
As long as
So long as it's lawful.
correct. Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
All right, so are there any other questions? Seeing none, then I would assume that it's council's, let the minutes reflect that the council has approved a first reading of this piece of this legislation. If there are no other objections.
Okay. Very good. Thank you, Chairman Revolt. Moving on, personnel and safety. We have 3 on this committee, and all 3 were a legislative request from Director DiOrio. Continued discussion on amending the city's employee handbook. And Patrick, if you want to, at this point, if you want to weigh in, if there have been any updates or changes in regards to this?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is DiOrio speaking, and we would like to just table this tonight. We're still meeting with our consultant for another tweaking of some of the language, and then we will be bringing it back at the next committee of the whole.
Okay. So we need, should I do a motion to table this?
If I may,
Or-
you should do a motion to postpone indefinitely.
Okay, let's do a motion to postpone discussion on the city's employee handbook indefinitely.
So moved. Revolt moves.
Soretta, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? All right, seeing nothing opposed, we approve 7-0. Okay, moving on. Item B, ordinance amending section 24, manpower of ordinance 1089. This is in regards to adding addition or authorizing the addition of radio dispatchers. And Patrick, do you want to comment quickly on why that is?
Yes, DiOrio speaking, and Council has already, in a previous legislation, authorized the funding through the budget for a position of an additional dispatcher. However, we have a companion ordinance that limits by number that people who can serve as dispatchers, and that we need to up that number so that we can go ahead and hire that person. It was already budgeted.
Okay, thank you, Patrick. Or any other comments, discussion from council? All right, seeing none, we will move that forward to our next legislative meeting. That is under emergency, correct, Patrick?
That is correct.
Okay. All right, thank you. And lastly, for personnel and safety, item C, ordinance amending chapter 135, Department of Fire and Emergency Medical Service, specifically section 135 personnel. Patrick, would you like to weigh in on that as well?
This is the same situation as before. Anticipated adding an additional person, but we need to authorize change in the strength of force.
Okay. And both of these are under emergency. They're both already budgeted.
YouTube makes me put in.
Yes.
And any questions, concerns from council? Okay, seeing none, we will move all three of those, B and C, to the next legislative agenda under emergency. Okay, next up we have water, sewer, and rubbish. Chairman Soretta, the floor is yours.
Yes, please. Pat or Rob, you want to tell us what this is all about? This is that tower lease agreement between the city landlord and the Singular Wireless.
Thank you. Yes, Diorio speaking, I'll address that. So we have a lease agreement with AT&T that was signed in 1998 by Mayor Revolt. And it was a very good contract that gave us a monthly revenue stream for leasing out space on one of our wells for these cellular towers. So with that lease, it's been since 1998, 21 years, and it was a 30-year lease. It renewed every 5 years. And so AT&T is going through all of these leases as they get close to this expiration, and they're trying to negotiate terms to continue this lease for, another 30 years. And so we had to work out arrangements as to what that would look like. So some of the things that we talked about was what is the escalator clause in it? How much does the rent go up every year? In this new contract, we negotiated it to 3%. They initially offered 2%. The current one is at 4%. This would renew then for another 5-year increments for the next 30 years. Given today's interest rate environment, I felt that 3% was a pretty competitive number for the escalator clause. It's entirely within council's discretion on what they want to do as far as the water treatment plant chairman is concerned. It doesn't present any obstacle to us whether or not we continue with the lease or not. He's happy either way. It doesn't affect him. There were some other language things that we worked out with our law director, and we've actually been negotiating on this for over a year, and we were concerned about their ability to allow just anybody on the property. We've restricted that immensely, and pretty much that's the highlights.
I got a question,
Okay.
Dominic Conte.
Go, Don.
So here's a question, Pat. I saw it was $1,925 a month for the lease rate, and it looks like it's 5-year increments with renewal clause. The only thing I was just thinking, and again, this is something that we don't have to discuss all tonight, but I wanted you to think on it. It limited to just them, AT&T Singular only, instead of letting us put more than one option up there. So let's say AT&T wanted to go up there, which they're there, and there's Singular, I believe. They own and manage Singular cell tower. but let's say Verizon or someone else, because I know with the $19.25 a month, I didn't know if there's no danger or anything, could we put more up there? I know they want to control it so they don't have competition up there, but for the city, I thought it would be a good idea if we gave them a smoke and deal like we did, that we still reserve the right if we want to let a competitor go up there as well, providing it we have the space and so forth. That's just my thought on it.
Diorio, I would say that as it relates to someone else, I'm concerned about how many people continually have access to the facility. It's manageable with one entity, and to be able to allow Verizon or T-Mobile or somebody else up there, I think we end up taking on more risk for that. One, two, with the move towards 5G and the micro towers and the small cell towers, I mean, we were at a conference just about a month ago, learning all the details about that movement. And I don't think that you're going to see this kind of thing down the road. They want to maintain their agreement because their equipment is already there. But most likely you're going to see these mini cells, these small cells on street corners throughout the community.
Dominic here, one more quick update then. So I get what you're saying. I'm familiar with what you're talking about with the micro towers. So when they do this equipment thing, is there an upgrade to the equipment? Are we getting better reception? And then the second question is, how much did the rent go up from what it was for the prior agreement to what it is now?
What was the first question?
Do we have stronger signal for our citizens? And is the signal going to be better, or is it the same existing equipment, just a renewal?
At this time, it's they have had equipment upgrades over the time that this has been in place, and they've preserved their right to go in and upgrade the equipment as they see fit. But at this very moment, there isn't anything planned.
And then the second question was, we're paying $19.25 a month. I know it ranges anywhere from $500 to $3,000 a month. I just was curious, what to get the renewal again with us, how much did they go up?
This is actually a reduction in the monthly amount, but an extension for 30 years. So we were balancing out that there's 8 years left under the existing contract, and I believe it's at like $2,400 a month, or taking it out for 30 years at starting at $19.25 and adding 3% a year.
Okay, Strati here. Any other comments or questions for the administrator? Hearing none, do we feel like we want to put this on? Do we have anybody? Doesn't sound like we don't have anybody. Nobody has to say yes. So let's go ahead and put this on then.
Okay, thank you very much, Mark. Appreciate it. Next up on the agenda is Finance and Property, Chairwoman Soretta, or Chairwoman Warren.
I'm going to let Gina or the Director of Administration, but I know that many organizations are using this assistance, and obviously it's very timely and it just came up. So either one can.
Okay, this is Gina. I can just explain that the Stark County EMA is coordinating the FEMA public assistance applications for all of the local governments that will be sent through Ohio EMA. The FEMA reimbursement or federal cost share would be provided at 75%. So we're just asking for authorization to be included in the Stark County forwarding for, right now we have nothing to submit, but we're going to start compiling and gathering that data. But the application would be submitted so that we're ready to begin whenever our expenses start rolling in as well.
Dominic here, I have a question, Gina. The question is that FEMA has an option to forgive the 25% obligation for the city. So I want to make sure that when you go and get this all situated, make sure you double check on the 25%. That would be our obligation, because a lot of the other cities and governors and mayors are forgiving the 25%. It may have something to do with how bad the city gets hit, you know, but just keep that in mind, because it would be nice if we didn't have to eat that 25%.
That's good information. Thank you for that.
Any other questions or concerns? Okay, we'll move to put that on the agenda.
All right, thank you, Stephanie. That concludes our special committee meeting tonight. We're going to adjourn out of here and then immediately go into our special council meeting. So at this time, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Revolt, motion to adjourn.
Second, by Aaron.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. With that said, we are adjourned from the committee meeting. At this time, I'd like to call to order the North Canton Special Council meeting via teleconference. The time is 7:20. The date is March 30. And, okay, so at this time, Mark, would you like to lead us in prayer?
Sure, be glad to. Lord, thank you for bringing us together in whatever way we can get there. And I want to thank you for giving us the help to be able to talk to each other and keep the city running. Please come to our aid as this coronavirus spreads globally. Please heal those who are sick, support and protect their families and friends from this terrible infection. And please strengthen and encourage those in public health service and in the medical profession, the caregivers, the nurse, the attendants, the doctors who commit themselves for caring for the sick and all of our families. Help them protect our city employees as they keep the city running. And please, you've always blessed our city. Continue to do that and keep everybody healthy and protected during these tough times. In God's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Mark. At this time, if you would join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance.
I
Pledge allegiance.
Flag.
The flag.
United States of America. To the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, liberty,
Justice.
Okay. All right, Ben, I'm getting a lot of feedback on my end. Is that coming from you guys?
It was likely from us here at the Civic Center. Yes, sorry.
Okay, we still have everybody on?
Yep.
Yes, everyone is.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. At this time, Ben, could you please call the roll?
I gotta get back on.
We mute the dog.
Revolt.
Mute the dog.
President Revolt, here.
Member Soretta.
I'm here.
Member Foltz.
Here.
Member Fonte.
Present.
President Peters.
Here.
Member Stroya.
Here.
Member Warren.
Here.
7 present.
All right. Thank you, Ben. And for council, for your consideration, I need a motion and a second to approve as presented. Committee, the whole meeting minutes, March 2nd, 2020. Special council meeting minutes, March 2nd, 2020. Council meeting minutes, March 9th, 2020.
Motion to approve as presented.
Soretta, second.
All right, Soretta seconds. All in favor? Say aye.
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 Opposed? And Member Peters will abstain. Okay, Ben, are we ready for recognition of visitors?
Yes.
Okay, at this time, and Ben, I'm going to let you take the lead on who goes first. Just a reminder, we have a 5-minute time limit. Please stay within that time limit. If there is a chance that you will not, we will also accept written or emailed full text of your comments, and we will attach them to the minutes for the council meeting. So at this time, Ben, I'll let you take the lead for recognition of visitors.
Our first citizen is Mr. Osborne. Mr. Osborne, are you there?
I am here.
When you're ready, sir.
Okay, my name is Chuck Osborne, 307 Fairview Street Southeast, North Canton, Ohio. I'm very concerned about the economic and environmental conditions that are falling down on us. I don't know if anybody's done any research on the 1918 pandemic. I sent everyone an email here on the 21st. There are unimaginable changes to the world we once knew, and the daily news paints an ever-growing bleak future as each day passes. What prompted my email over a week ago was a prediction by Goldman Sachs that economic activity is going to plunge and contract by about 24%. They're predicting a swift recession. I would almost dare say, personally, we may be looking at a depression. You might have heard today Macy's is laying off 130,000 people. The city needs to take precautions, and I would advise the following actions. That we terminate the 5-year management agreement for Arrowhead. The basis for this termination is the economic impact of the coronavirus, which would fall under contract provisions as an act of God. And after 17 straight years of financial losses under city ownership of the golf course, it is highly probable that Arrowhead will continue to be a financial drain for city taxpayers. Economic conditions that the coronavirus has wrought on the entire U.S. economy for the foreseeable future will doom with certainty the financial viability of operating Arrowhead in the black this year. For anybody, again, that doesn't know too much about the 1918 pandemic, it lasted 15 months. It killed 670,000 Americans. There were 3 waves. We don't know what to expect. The city is asking, and government is asking people to distance themselves socially, stay at home. Economic activity has come to a halt. You must immediately start conserving money because things are not going to be looking very good for a long time. It makes no sense to be paying $72,000 to Mr. DePietro because he has nothing to manage. The buffets have been shut down for what, over a month? And I don't know if anybody's aware, I just got a copy here that Lions Den Golf Course in Canal Fulton has been ordered to immediately shut down. It's not considered an essential business. So I don't know if the city has ordered the shutdown of Arrowhead as of yet or not. That shutdown order was sent out March 27th. Secondly, your ordinance tonight, the ordinance 13/2020, increasing salaries, again, runs contrary to any kind of common sense. Your compensation levels of management already greatly exceed salaries of a majority of North Canton citizens. And given the economic forecast for the entire country, and as unemployment surges, this is not the time to increase salaries. And also, I would hope that very possibly, since you have shut down City Hall, possibly curtailing the hours of certain employees, again, to save money. So that's my 2 points. I hope you take that with a grain of salt. I don't want to have to say I told you so here in another month. These are very dire situations the entire country finds themselves in. Given that people are going to be struggling to pay rent, utilities, raising salaries is the last thing that should be thought about. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chuck.
Mr. Osborne was the only citizen who asked to speak in person tonight. At this time, we have not received any written statements as of yet.
Okay. Well, seeing there is no more public comment, we'll move on to old business. Ordinance 12-20, this is the second reading. Ordinance rules and claims. Tim?
Yes.
But hold on, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I need to ask for a motion and a second to read by title only, second reading ordinance 20-12.
Holt says so moved.
Motion to read.
Soretta, second. Motion and a second? I didn't hear that.
Yeah, Revolt seconded.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Tim?
An ordinance amending Chapter 111, Council of the Codified Ordinances of the City of North Canton, specifically Section 111.04, Legislative Procedure as described below.
All right, thank you. Chairman Stroya.
Yes, this is the form that we talked about previously. It streamlines and organizes legislative process. That's it.
Okay. Any questions from council? All right, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion and a second to adopt the second reading.
So moved. It's Revolt.
Second, Holt.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next up, resolution number 1-20. May I have a motion and a second to read by title only the second reading of resolution 1-20.
So moved.
So moved.
Second, Holt.
Okay, motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries. Tim, please.
A resolution accepting the internship policy handbook as submitted and shall be maintained by the Department of Administration.
All right, Patrick.
Yes, thank you. There are some tweaks that we're doing to this. We've had some input from associated individuals. Nothing out of the extraordinary. Just as a reminder, this is open to students who are at other schools other than Walsh. We're in the process of fine-tuning a link that people can click on and see the updates. And then as far as the manual goes, this would be something that would be adjusted in the Department of Administration as time goes on. We just need an initial acceptance of what we have drafted so far.
All right, thank you, Patrick. Council is very excited and looking forward to the all the possibilities with this program. Are there any questions from council? All right, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion and a second to adopt the second reading, resolution 1-20.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. All right, moving on. I need a motion and a second to read by title only, second reading, ordinance 30-20.
So
13.
moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Patrick, would you like to talk on this before we pass the second reading?
Yes.
Want me to read this one?
Are you going to read it
13?
first?
Yeah.
My apologies, Tim.
Yes. An ordinance amending Chapter 155, Personnel Regulations, Part 1, Administrative Code of the Codified Ordinances of the City of North Canton to adjust the titles and compensation of certain employees and repealing any legislation inconsistent herewith.
All right. Sorry about that. It's a little hard when I'm on the phone doing this. Hard to
No
get
problem.
used to.
Yeah, Ordinance 13.
You're doing great.
All right. Patrick, Tim, any comments
Well,
on this?
yeah, this is the ordinance that we were working on since the first of the year. This is not an ordinance that is giving pay raises to people this year. This year's salaries were set in last year's budget. This is adjusting for 2021. And that's pretty much the gist of it. Yeah.
Okay. Any other comments, council? Okay, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion and a second to adopt the second reading, ordinance 13-20.
So moved. Second by Foltz.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Moving on. Before we go to this, I believe, Gina, you have requested a few amendments to this ordinance. Is that correct?
That is correct. Do you want me to address those right now or wait till it's read?
Yeah, Tim, should we read this and then amend it?
You have to make a
I'll
motion
read
to
the-
read it first.
Good. Yeah, motion to read it, and then as Member Revolt had said, then we can talk about the adjustments.
Okay, very good.
So I'll move
At
that
this
we
time,
read, the motion is made to read the second reading of ordinance 14-2020.
Outstanding. Do I have a
Yes.
second?
Second.
Got a second?
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? All right, motion carries. Tim?
An ordinance authorizing the appropriation of funds of the City of North Canton to be appropriated from the unappropriated resources of the general fund and the insurance fund for the current expenses during fiscal year ending December 31st, 2020.
All right, thank you. Chairwoman Warren, table's yours.
Gina, I will let you go on with this and talk about the changes you'd like to have made.
Okay, thank you. I'm not sure you have a copy, so I'm going to just explain the amendments that are being proposed to be included into Ordinance 14 for appropriations. We were able to sell on the market $2.9 million for real estate acquisition. The bonds sold at an average coupon rate of 1.76%, and they're set to close on April 3rd. So therefore, I'm requesting an amendment to include the proceeds of the bond. And then at the same time, we will have a principal and interest repayment due on December of this year. So I'd like to add an appropriation for that bond payment. Along with that, we are also requesting $75,000 for facilities, maintenance, and repairs. So those things would be added as amendments to the current, bringing the total appropriation amendments to $3,456,000. But remember, $2.9 million of that, we have proceeds offsetting on the revenue side.
Dina, do you want to explain that just a hair more?
Okay, so the bond proceeds we were able to sell on the market, we will be receiving revenue of $2.9 million. Those will be used for property acquisition, looking at a safety service center. Those bonds then, on the revenue side, will use those proceeds to purchase the land. So that will be the appropriation of $2.9 million to be able to write a check and spend those funds. The other 187,000, I believe, 220 total, I'm sorry, $220,750 is the first bond repayment. All of it would be over, I believe, a 15-year period. We will, from 2020 to 2034. Average coupon rate of 1.76%.
Got it.
Any other questions? Okay, I move to adopt.
Second?
If I may,
Hey, hold a second here. You've got to make a motion to amend.
Oh, yeah, sorry about that.
Let me make a motion to amend ordinance 14-2020 per the description provided by the Director of Finance.
I'll second that.
You need a roll call on that.
We got to vote on that, yes.
You need a vote. You just need a vote. Before we vote, do we need this on emergency?
Yes, please.
All right, so let me rephrase my motion then. I move that we amend ordinance 14-2020 to include the amendments as described by the Director of Finance and amend the language to include an emergency clause.
Point of order. We need to
Okay.
down the first motion, and then you re-motion, and then we pass the second.
All right.
So you need a motion to get rid of the first motion?
Well, we just need to vote on it. You need to defeat it.
Defeat the amendment?
Your
Yes.
first motion remains on the table until it's voted on. So if you wish to amend the motion to include the emergency clause, you need to defeat the first motion first.
All right, do that.
We're just defeating the first motion to amend, not the ordinance itself, correct?
Correct.
That's correct.
All right.
So President Peters should call for a vote on Member Revolt's first motion.
First motion to amend.
Yes. So the correct vote would be no.
Correct.
Right.
On the amendment.
If you want to.
If you want.
President Peters?
Defeated. So in other words, when President Peters says all in favor say aye, this should be met with stony silence. And then all opposed, we should hear 7 no's.
Okay.
Member Peters, we await your pleasure.
I'm sorry, Terrell. I had myself on mute and I'm talking like you guys could hear me. Do I need a roll call vote to defeat that amendment? Okay.
No.
All right, so I need a motion. Is there a motion and a second?
The motion has been made. You just need to vote.
Okay. All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
No?
Oh, no, sorry.
Wrong answer. Let me try this again. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Nay?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Nay.
Okay.
All right.
Now,
Let's try this. Assuming that is 7 to defeat Member Revolt's first motion to amend.
Okay. Now, I propose that we amend ordinance 14-2020 to include the amendments as described by the Director of Finance and also include in the text an emergency clause.
And if you would, if you'd state the the reason for the emergency clause.
The reason
for,
is to secure the
redrafting.
timing of the bond. The reason is to secure, and the reason for the emergency clause is to secure the timing with the bond market.
Yes. Thank you.
I'll second that, Ben.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? All right, motion carries. Now, may I have a motion and a second to suspend the rules of council for 3 readings?
So moved.
For ordinance 14-20 as amended?
Yes, so moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? All right, motion carries. And finally, may I have a motion and a second to adopt ordinance 14-20 as amended?
So moved.
Ready to move?
Is there a second?
Second for Foltz.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
President Peters, you didn't say in your
Okay,
motion
and-
to adopt under suspension of the rules.
Oh, I'm sorry. May I have a motion and a second to adopt under suspension of the rules?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you, Ben. And lastly, under new business, by a favorable vote of a majority of council members, resolution before the Finance and Property Committee regarding the authorization for the Director of Finance to apply for COVID-19 assistance funds may be added to the consideration through Council Rule 111.06C, suspending the requirement for a committee report. Are there any comments on that?
Just that we need to react in a timely manner, and that's what we're doing.
Okay, anyone else?
Nope.
Okay, at this time, I'll ask for a motion and a second to suspend the rules of council requiring a favorable committee report and to add resolution 2-20 to the agenda.
So moved.
Second by Waring.
Schroeder? Okay.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. I need a motion and a second to read by title only, first reading, resolution number 2-20.
So moved, Waring.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Tim, do you have the title in front of you?
I do.
Okay, can you read that, please?
I will. A resolution authorizing the Director of Finance and Director of Administration to apply on behalf of and/or assist City of North Canton with requesting any and all state, federal assistance necessary to assist with the COVID-19 pandemic and declaring the same to be an emergency.
All right, thank you. Chairwoman Waring, any comments?
Nope. I am good to go.
All right, I think we all are as well. At this time, I'll ask for a motion and a second to adopt the first reading, resolution 2-20.
So moved.
So moved, Waring.
Second.
Second?
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Motion and a second to suspend the rules requiring 3 readings on the basis of an emergency.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Second? Schroeder?
All right, we have a couple motions in a couple seconds. I'll think that'll work. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And finally, a motion and a second to adopt resolution 2-20 under suspension of the rules.
So moved, Waring.
Second, Schroeder?
Second, Troya.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? All right, motion carries. That concludes our legislative agenda. We have reports. Deputy Director of Administration.
Thank you,
She's
President.
not available?
Oh,
you're available?
Yeah, I just wanted to recognize and take a moment of all our dedicated essential city employees. They're working really hard to keep all the city operations running smoothly.
Catherine,
These
Mayor
employees
requests that you're louder.
speak louder.
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to say we're observing all the protocol. We're taking temperatures every morning. We are using technology like we are tonight, to continue the work going. We've got to keep the water flowing, the toilets flushing, the street lights working, and the critically important fire, EMS, and police responding. So just quickly on the note of police, I need to report the Civil Service Commission has approved the scores of the patrolman and dispatcher exam that was given in February. And now they have set the date. The commission has approved the date for the sergeant's promotional exam, and that will be on May 22nd. And that is to backfill the opening that was created with the promotion of Frank Kemp to the chief position. So that's all.
Okay, thank you, Catherine. Director of Administration.
I yield the balance of my time to the mayor.
All right, thank you very much. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, everyone. First of all, I want to thank residents and citizens of the North Canton community for abiding by the Ohio Department of Health Director's stay-at-home order. As I'm out and about in my travels, I can see that many of our residents are abiding by that as much as possible. A quick update on our parks. Again, our parks are open. The walking path at Price Park is open for use. We're just asking everyone to follow the social distancing as recommended by the Ohio Department of Health. I received a notice through the Ohio Department of Health that they reversed its decision on Saturday evening and now will allow golf courses to stay open during the COVID-19 shutdown as long as they adhere to Section 15 of the social distance measures. I encourage our council members, when they talk to their constituents, I received a notice from Ohio Secretary of State Frank LaRose to please consider again voting by mail in the 2020 primary election, and they can simply learn how to request their vote by going to voteohio.gov. I also received a notice from the U.S. Census Bureau for citizens to please continue or go to their website, that's MY 2020 census.gov. Very simple for them to complete the census questionnaire. In regards to some of our meals that are being served in the city of North Canton, several of our churches have continued on with their food pantries and giveaways. I talked with our superintendent of schools, Jeff Windorf. They're feeding about 500 school-aged children daily, Monday through Friday, at the North Canton Middle School. Finally, I'd just like to share this comment. I know each of us have challenges during this critical time of our lives. And facing uncertainty and adversity and surviving the coronavirus creates changes in our response to defeating it. As we're all focused on getting things done for our families or business, I want you to know your city government is focused on getting things done in the best interest for our community. Each day I think about what more can I do today to ensure a better tomorrow for our employees, community, or for ourselves. Just be thankful for what we have. Let's stay focused, stay grounded, and we will get through this health crisis. I still believe the best days are ahead of us. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you, Mayor.
I'm sorry, I had myself on mute. Mayor, thank you so much. Next up, Director of Law.
Thank you. I just wish to echo the comments of the Deputy Director that our employees, despite what comments were earlier of the suggestion of reducing hours, reducing pay, and so forth of city employees, they're actually working longer hours. They're working under much more difficult conditions. We've had employees that need to stay at home for periods of time. That means this other things to cover for those employees. So actually, especially your exempt employees, are working longer hours, and your police, fire, EMS, those individuals are especially the EMS, taking the temperatures of every city employee every day. So they're having that additional contact. And you have to imagine that they're thinking about that. They're considering, I'm in contact with all of these employees each day. So those are the things that they are doing on behalf of all our employees, so that our employees continue to, as the Deputy Director had said, so the water flows, so the toilets flush, so the sanitation is picked up, so that we continue to have a safe city. So again, shout out to all the city employees, and thank you for the council members for, I know it's difficult to have this meeting telephonically, but the very purpose was to prevent the spread. And so I think it went remarkably well, much better than anticipated. We just went through 2 meetings in less than an hour. And so thank you all for that. That's all I have.
All right, Tim, thank you so much. Next, Director of Finance.
Thank you. I just wanted to make one announcement. The municipal income tax returns and payments that were due for tax year 2019, originally that were due April 15th, have been extended by law to July 15th of 2020. Also, estimated payments for quarter 1 and quarter 2 are also extended to July 15th of 2020. That's the only additional announcement I had.
Gina, quick question, Dominic Fonte.
Yes.
So even though it's extended, that doesn't mean you still can't go ahead and pay it on the 15th, correct?
No, oh no, you can still pay.
We want to encourage to get payment.
Absolutely, pay now or pay later, but the federal government and the state government has extended the tax deadlines, and so the city follows those laws. So the extension will be until July 15th without penalty.
Okay, thank you, Gina. I appreciate that. Good information. Next up, Engineer Graham.
Thank you, Mr. President. I guess I just wanted to touch on that Department of Homeland Security has deemed infrastructure work as an essential service. And so far, Governor DeWine has concurred with that. I know some neighboring states have stopped the infrastructure work, but Ohio, well, we're still full steam ahead. With that, our department really has been minimally affected to date, believe it or not. As an example, our Pineview Avenue reconstruction contract that we bid out, Superior Excavating or Superior Paving actually started work this morning on that. Also, Superior has our 2020 paving program. They're looking at bringing their paving mill into town 2 weeks from today on April 13th. We had a pre-construction meeting with our Northfield contractor, which is North Star Asphalt, Langer Excavating. And they're looking at starting probably that week of the 13th or week of the 20th. And lastly, we've been scheduled to open the Portage resurfacing bids this Friday, April 3rd. And we're going to open those bids. The only thing different is we're going to open them on the portico instead of inside City Hall, so we can keep us safe in here. But other than that, it's really full steam ahead, and looking forward to getting a lot done this spring and summer.
All right. Thank you, Rob. Any comments from council? Questions for Rob?
Keep up the good work.
All right. All right, very good. Thank you, Rob. Next up, Council Clerk Ben, you're up.
Yes, the Ohio Ethics Commission has extended the filing deadline for financial disclosure forms July 15th. Second, Walsh University has officially reached out and canceled our meeting on April 6th, which we had already assumed based on the closing of their campus. If we would like to reschedule that meeting for the fall, they're requesting a new date by July. And finally, the Office of Counsel now has a searchable database of all current and past elected officials in the city.
All right, very good. All right, thank you, sir. Next up, we'll start with Member Revolt.
No report.
All right, Member Fonte.
Thank you. I'd just like to remind everybody, since we're in this new paradigm shift, make sure you remember the old people, the people that aren't getting visitors, or people that are lonely. You know, reach out to them, make sure they have food. And also the local businesses, you know, a lot of them are doing different things with carry out, you know, try to reach out to them, try to give them some business. I'm sure they're all in need. So let's do the support we can do to help everybody. Thank you.
All right, good stuff, Dominic. Member Stroya.
Hey, yeah, just first I want to thank Ben and the staff for running the teleconference, because it seems to have run very smoothly, at least on my end. So thank you for that. Chuck, thanks for speaking. The golf courses, the ruling, as Mayor Wilder said, that was reversed, and it looks like it's going to be open indefinitely so far. But I just wanted to thank the city workers, especially the police, fire, EMS. What you guys do is amazing for what's going on. And I also wanted to thank the mayor for giving the updates about the virus and about the city. I think everybody appreciates that type of communication. So that's it. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Matthew. Member Soretta.
Well, I'll piggyback on what Matt said. I want to thank Pat and his crew and Mayor Wilder. You know, the city is running, it's running good, and this is a test. Really a test of our city's efficiency, our unity, our collaboration, you know, of our community. So we'll keep moving forward, and we'll come out of this stronger. So I want to thank all those folks, and also thanks for setting this up. This is run, and the first time we've ever done this, you know, there's a couple little glitches, but real happy the way this thing has run here, and we may be doing this for a while, so it'll get better and better. So thanks, Ben, and everyone else who's involved, Kathy, in this endeavor that we've taken on. That'll do it.
All right, thank you. Member Fultz.
Yeah, thank you. Not to be redundant, but thanks to everybody, Ben especially. This was a great meeting. I want to thank all our staff and all our employees, but also the health officials and the hospital staffing, because they're on the front lines, and God bless them for what they're doing. And I just ask that when people go out, just to be smart about how they congregate together, use our beautiful parks, just don't collectively get together. You know, we know what's been said by health officials, and that's all we're asking here. We love people to be out in the parks, to enjoy that, but also just be smart about how they congregate and keep your social distancing as best you can. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Doug. And finally, Member Warren.
Yeah, I won't be redundant as much either. Member Foltz just really kind of said everything I wanted to say. And, you know, thanks to Ben and just to Pat for keeping up. Pat and I had a really good conversation the other day and just the updates. And I always appreciate that. And I was out playing pickleball, I don't know, yesterday and a day before. And it was so nice that the nets were up and there was a wait. I think it was on Friday, but people were respecting social distancing. And
Member Warren,
really nice
please
to
speak slower for Merrill.
Hey, you know me. And so it's just good to be out. Doug's right. It's going to be respectful and keep your space. And thanks for our beautiful books. That's it.
All right. Thank you, Steph. And I echo everyone's comments. Great comments by the mayor. And everyone, I would just ask also that in these trying times that everyone be respectful and more importantly, be patient. I think nerves are a little frazzled now and it's easy, you know, to kind of come unwound a little bit and just understand that we're all in this together. So, and Ben, thank you for putting together this meeting. I'm sure we're going to be doing this for a little while. I think for the first time, it was well done, and I think Kathy had some input on this. So whoever had a hand in putting this teleconference together, well done. And I will finish by just touching on our upcoming meetings. April 6th, that was formerly the Walsh University meeting. That's a special committee of the whole. These will all be via teleconference. April 13th, regular council. April 20th, committee of the whole. And finally, April 27th will be a regular council meeting. And with
I would
that,
just add, Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
To the administrator, I would just ask that at the April 6th meeting that we may need to have another meeting that week. I'll know in a day or two on the subject matter. If that's the case, is that something that can be done on April 6th, or do we have to do anything special tonight to set up another date?
Well, I tell you what we can do. Instead of setting it, we could do it tonight. But if you're not sure if you need it, you need a couple days to put it together. Just let Ben know, and then we can do with 4 affirmative email responses from council. We can schedule a meeting.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. That concludes the agenda. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned. Have a great evening, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you all.
Bye now.
Great job.